What if the real reason your hair looks thin, dull, or lifeless has almost nothing to do with your shampoo, your genetics, or even your age? What if thick, shiny hair is actually a reflection of what's happening inside your body right now? Stay with me, because once you understand this, you'll stop wasting money on products that don't work and start fixing hair problems at the root cause. Most people think hair is dead tissue, so they focus only on what they put on it: oils, masks, treatments, and serums. But hair growth starts deep under the skin, inside tiny structures called hair follicles. These follicles are alive, highly active, and extremely sensitive to nutrient deficiencies, hormones, and blood sugar problems. If the follicle isn't healthy, no product in the world will give you thick, shiny hair. One of the biggest reasons hair loses its thickness and shine is a lack of key nutrients. Hair is made mostly of protein, but protein alone is not enough. Your body needs zinc to build strong hair strands. It needs iron to deliver oxygen to the follicle. It needs biotin to support keratin production. And it needs vitamin D to keep hair follicles in the growth phase. When any one of these is missing, hair becomes weak, thin, and dull. Now here's something most people never hear. Even if you're eating these nutrients, you might not be absorbing them. Poor digestion, low stomach acid, and gut inflammation can block absorption. That means you could be eating a healthy diet and still have hair problems. This is why improving digestion is one of the fastest ways to improve hair quality. When digestion improves, nutrients finally reach the scalp. Another major factor is insulin. High insulin levels, often caused by frequent snacking and high-carb diets, can directly interfere with hair growth. Insulin triggers inflammation and increases certain hormones that shrink hair follicles over time. As follicles shrink, hair grows thinner and loses its shine. This is one reason people notice hair changes when they develop insulin resistance, even before other symptoms appear. Lowering insulin doesn't require extreme measures. Simply reducing sugar, refined carbohydrates, and constant eating can make a noticeable difference. When insulin comes down, blood flow improves, inflammation drops, and hair follicles receive better nourishment. Stress is another silent hair destroyer. Chronic stress raises cortisol, and cortisol steals nutrients away from hair and skin to support survival functions. Your body basically says, hair is not essential right now. Over time, stress shortens the hair growth cycle and pushes more hairs into the shedding phase. This is why people often notice dull, thinning hair after long periods of emotional or physical stress. Sleep plays a powerful role here. Hair follicles regenerate during deep sleep. If sleep is poor or irregular, hair doesn't get the repair time it needs. Improving sleep quality alone can restore shine and strength that no hair product ever could. Let's talk about fats, because this is where many people go wrong. Hair needs healthy fats to look shiny. If your diet is too low in fat, hair becomes dry and brittle. The scalp also suffers, leading to poor hair texture. Healthy fats help build the outer layer of the hair strand, which is what reflects light and creates that natural shine. Omega-3 fatty acids are especially important. They reduce inflammation around the follicle and support scalp health. Without them, hair can look lifeless no matter how clean or conditioned it is. This is one reason people notice shinier hair when they improve their diet, even without changing hair products. Another overlooked issue is blood circulation. Hair follicles need a steady supply of oxygen and nutrients. Poor circulation, often linked to inactivity, insulin resistance, or nutrient deficiencies, can starve the follicle. When circulation improves, follicles wake up, hair grows stronger, and shine returns naturally. The scalp itself also matters more than people realize. A healthy scalp supports thick hair. Chronic inflammation, excessive oil imbalance, or dryness can disrupt the follicle environment. Supporting scalp health starts from the inside, not from harsh treatments. When inflammation drops and nutrients improve, the scalp balances itself. One important mineral that deserves special attention is zinc. Zinc deficiency is extremely common and strongly linked to hair thinning and loss of shine. Zinc helps regulate oil glands around the follicle and supports hair repair. Without enough zinc, hair strands weaken and break easily. Protein quality also matters. Hair doesn't just need protein, it needs the right amino acids. Collagen-supporting amino acids help improve hair thickness and elasticity. When the body lacks these building blocks, hair grows slower and weaker. Here's the key takeaway. Thick, shiny hair is not created in the bathroom. It's created in the liver, the gut, the bloodstream, and the hormone system. When these systems work together, hair becomes a natural reflection of internal health. If you focus on nutrient-dense foods, improve digestion, lower insulin, manage stress, and prioritize sleep, hair changes follow naturally. People often notice less shedding first. Then they notice stronger strands. And finally, that healthy shine starts to come back. This isn't about quick fixes or miracle products. It's about restoring what your body needs to do what it already knows how to do. When the body is supported properly, thick and shiny hair is not a mystery. It's a natural outcome. If you found this helpful, take a moment to suppose to your body from the inside out, and you may be surprised by how much your hair can change. Your hair is not just something that grows on your head. It is a reflection of what's happening inside your body every single day. Most people are taught to believe that hair problems start on the scalp, so they chase shampoos, oils, masks, and treatments. But thick, shiny hair does not come from a bottle. It comes from internal health. And when something inside is off, your hair is often one of the first places where it shows up. Hair follicles are living, highly active structures. They require a constant supply of nutrients, oxygen, and hormonal balance to stay in the growth phase. If any one of these is missing or disrupted, the follicle becomes weak. Over time, hair grows thinner, slower, and loses its shine. This has nothing to do with luck or genetics in most cases. It has everything to do with what your body is able to absorb and use. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that eating healthy automatically means their hair is getting what it needs. But eating nutrients and absorbing nutrients are two completely different things. You could be consuming protein, vitamins, and minerals every day, yet your hair follicles may still be starving. The reason is poor digestion. If stomach acid is low, protein does not break down properly. Hair is made primarily of keratin, a protein structure, and without proper digestion, those amino acids never reach the follicle. Low stomach acid is extremely common, especially in people under chronic stress, people who snack frequently, and people who rely heavily on processed foods. When protein digestion is weak, hair becomes thin, brittle, and dull. Minerals are even more sensitive to digestive problems. Zinc, iron, magnesium, and selenium all require a healthy gut environment for absorption. Zinc in particular plays a critical role in hair thickness and repair. It supports the oil glands around the follicle and helps maintain the structure of the hair shaft. When zinc is low, hair loses strength and shine even if you're eating enough calories. Iron is another mineral closely tied to hair quality. Iron carries oxygen in the blood, and hair follicles are highly oxygen dependent. If iron levels are low, follicles don't get enough oxygen, and growth slows down. Hair may look flat, lifeless, and thin. This can happen even before someone is diagnosed with anemia. Subtle iron deficiency can quietly affect hair long before it affects energy levels. Vitamin D is another major player that often goes overlooked. Vitamin D helps regulate the hair growth cycle. Without enough vitamin D, hair follicles are more likely to stay dormant. This leads to thinning and reduced density over time. Many people have low vitamin D due to limited sun exposure, especially those who spend most of their time indoors. Then there's biotin. While biotin is often marketed as a hair vitamin, its real role is in supporting keratin production and fatty acid metabolism. Biotin deficiency doesn't always cause dramatic hair loss, but it can cause hair to look weak, thin, and lacking shine. Again, digestion plays a role. If gut health is poor, biotin absorption suffers. Now let's talk about the liver, because this is where hair health really begins. The liver processes hormones, stores nutrients, and helps regulate blood sugar. When the liver is overloaded, hair follicles feel the effects. Excess toxins, poor diet, and constant insulin spikes force the liver into survival mode. Hair growth becomes a low priority. Insulin is one of the most damaging yet overlooked factors in hair thinning and dullness. Frequent eating, high sugar intake, and refined carbohydrates keep insulin elevated throughout the day. High insulin increases inflammation and disrupts hormone balance. Over time, this creates an environment where hair follicles begin to shrink. As follicles shrink, hair grows thinner and weaker. This process happens slowly, which is why people don't connect their diet to their hair changes. They assume it's age or genetics. But when insulin levels improve, something interesting happens. blood flow improves, inflammation drops, nutrients are delivered more efficiently, hair follicles respond by producing stronger, thicker strands. Blood sugar stability is also critical for hair shine. When blood sugar spikes and crashes, the body experiences oxidative stress. This damages hair proteins and affects the outer layer of the hair shaft. The outer layer is what reflects light. When it's damaged, hair loses its shine and looks dull no matter how clean it is. Healthy fats play a huge role in restoring shine. Hair strands are coated in a natural lipid layer that protects them and reflects light. If your diet is too low in healthy fats, this layer becomes weak. Hair becomes dry, frizzy, and lifeless. This is not something conditioner can fully fix because the problem starts internally. Omega-3 fatty acids are especially important. They reduce inflammation in the scalp and support healthy blood flow to follicles. They also help maintain the structure of cell membranes, including those in hair follicles. Without enough omega-3s, the scalp environment becomes inflamed and imbalanced, which directly affects hair quality. The gut is another key piece of the puzzle. The gut is where nutrients are absorbed, but it's also where inflammation often begins. A damaged gut lining allows inflammatory compounds to enter the bloodstream. This low-grade inflammation affects the scalp and hair follicles. Over time, inflammation shortens the hair growth cycle and increases shedding. Gut imbalances can also interfere with hormone regulation. Certain gut bacteria help regulate estrogen and other hormones that affect hair growth. When the gut is unhealthy, hormone balance suffers and hair follicles become more sensitive to hormonal shifts. This can lead to thinning and loss of shine even without IAO's hair loss. Hydration is another often missed factor. Hair needs water to maintain flexibility and shine. Chronic dehydration affects the hair shaft, making it rigid and prone to breakage. Dehydration also thickens the blood, reducing circulation to the scalp. When circulation drops, follicles receive fewer nutrients. Circulation itself is critical. Hair follicles rely on tiny blood vessels to deliver oxygen and nutrients. Anything that impairs circulation, such as insulin resistance, inflammation, or inactivity, can starve the follicle. Improved circulation often leads to noticeable changes in hair thickness and shine within weeks. Stress ties all of this together. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which directly interferes with digestion, nutrient absorption, and blood sugar regulation. Cortisol also diverts nutrients away from hair and skin toward vital organs. Over time, this creates a perfect storm for dull, thinning hair. Sleep is when repair happens. During deep sleep, growth hormone is released and tissues regenerate. Hair follicles depend on this repair cycle. Poor sleep disrupts hormone balance and increases inflammation, both of which harm hair quality. Improving sleep can restore shine and strength in ways that no topical product ever could. The most important thing to understand is this: hair is not a priority tissue for survival. When the body senses stress, nutrient deficiency, or imbalance, it sacrifices hair quality to protect vital organs. That's why hair changes are often early warning signs of deeper issues. When digestion improves, nutrients are absorbed. When insulin stabilizes, inflammation drops. When the liver functions properly, hormones balance. When circulation improves, follicles wake up. And when these systems work together, hair responds naturally. Thick, shiny hair is not something you force, it's something that happens when the internal environment is right. The body already knows how to grow strong hair. Your job is simply to remove the obstacles that are getting in the way. When you stop chasing external solutions and start supporting your body internally, hair becomes stronger, fuller, and more vibrant over time. That shine you're looking for isn't artificial. It's a signal that your body is finally getting what it needs. One of the most overlooked reasons hair becomes thin, weak, and loses its natural shine has nothing to do with age or genetics. It has everything to do with how your body handles blood sugar, stress, and sleep. These three factors quietly damage hair follicles long before you ever notice visible hair loss. And by the time most people react, the problem has already been developing for years. Let's start with insulin, because this is where many hair problems truly begin. Insulin is a hormone that helps move sugar out of the blood and into cells. But when insulin stays high all day, something very damaging happens. Inflammation increases, circulation decreases, and hormone balance is disrupted. Hair follicles are extremely sensitive to this environment. When insulin is constantly elevated, it sends a signal to the body that survival mode is active. The body then prioritizes energy storage instead of repair and regeneration. Hair growth slows down. Hair strands become thinner. Shine disappears because the follicle is no longer producing strong, healthy hair fibers. Frequent eating is one of the biggest reasons insulin stays high. Many people snack all day without realizing the impact. Every time you eat, especially carbohydrates and sugar, insulin goes up. When insulin never comes down, hair follicles never get a break. Over time, follicles shrink, and shrinking follicles produce thinner hair. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. First, hair loses its shine. Then it becomes harder to style. Then shedding increases. Finally, density begins to drop. Most people blame shampoo, water quality, or stress alone, but the real issue is happening internally. High insulin also affects circulation. Thick, shiny hair depends on good blood flow to the scalp. Insulin resistance damages blood vessels and reduces nitric oxide, a compound that helps blood vessels relax. When blood flow to the scalp decreases, hair follicles receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients. The result is weak, dull hair that grows slowly. Now let's talk about stress, because stress amplifies every single one of these problems. Chronic stress raises cortisol, a hormone designed for short-term emergencies, not long-term living. When cortisol stays elevated, it directly interferes with hair growth. Cortisol steals nutrients from hair follicles and redirects them to vital organs. Your body essentially decides that hair is not important right now. This is why people often notice hair shedding after long periods of emotional stress, illness, overwork, or lack of rest. Stress also disrupts digestion. When you're stressed, stomach acid drops, enzyme production decreases, and nutrient absorption suffers. This means even if you're eating the right foods, your body may not be able to use them. Hair follicles feel this immediately because they depend on a steady supply of amino acids, minerals, and vitamins. Another damaging effect of cortisol is inflammation. Chronic stress creates low-grade inflammation throughout the body, including the scalp. Inflammation shortens the hair growth cycle and pushes hair into the shedding phase earlier than it should. Over time, this leads to thinning and loss of shine. Stress also affects hormone balance. Elevated cortisol interferes with thyroid hormones, estrogen, and testosterone balance. Thyroid hormones, in particular, play a major role in hair growth. When thyroid function is impaired, hair becomes dry, brittle, and sparse. This can happen even when thyroid tests are technically normal. Now let's connect this to sleep, because sleep is where repair happens. Hair follicles regenerate during deep sleep, growth hormone is released, tissues repair themselves, and inflammation drops. If sleep is poor or inconsistent, hair follicles miss their opportunity to recover. People often underestimate how damaging poor sleep is to hair. Even 1 or 2 hours of lost sleep each night can disrupt hormone balance. Cortisol rises, insulin sensitivity worsens, and inflammation increases. This creates the perfect environment for hair thinning and dullness. Lack of sleep also increases cravings for sugar and refined carbohydrates. This drives insulin even higher the next day, creating a vicious cycle. High insulin worsens sleep quality, and poor sleep worsens insulin resistance. Hair follicles are caught in the middle of this cycle. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, also plays a role in hair growth. Melatonin helps regulate the hair growth cycle and protect follicles from oxidative stress. Poor sleep reduces melatonin, leaving hair follicles more vulnerable to damage. Another factor many people miss is nighttime repair of the scalp. During sleep, blood flow to the skin increases. This allows nutrients to reach hair follicles and waste products to be removed. If sleep is cut short, this process is incomplete. Over time, hair quality declines. Let's talk about emotional stress specifically, because it has a unique impact on hair. Emotional stress triggers the sympathetic nervous system, keeping the body in fight or flight mode. In this state, digestion shuts down, circulation to the scalp decreases, and hair growth pauses. This is why hair loss often follows major life events. The hair follicles didn't suddenly fail. They responded to prolonged stress signals that told them growth was not safe or necessary. Physical stress has a similar effect. Overtraining, extreme dieting, and undereating place enormous stress on the body. When calorie intake is too low, the body conserves energy by reducing hair growth. Shine disappears first, followed by thinning. Another important connection is blood sugar crashes. When insulin spikes and then drops quickly, the body releases adrenaline and cortisol to stabilize blood sugar. These stress hormones damage hair follicles over time. Stable blood sugar supports stable hair growth. This is why balanced meals and spacing meals properly can make such a noticeable difference in hair quality. When blood sugar stabilizes, cortisol drops, inflammation decreases, and follicles function normally again. Let's also talk about the nervous system. Chronic stress keeps the nervous system overstimulated. This reduces blood flow to non-essential areas like the scalp. Relaxation activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which supports digestion, circulation, and repair. Hair thrives in this state. Deep breathing, relaxation, and consistent routines all send safety signals to the body. When the body feels safe, hair growth resumes. This is not psychological, it's biological. Sleep timing matters too. Going to bed late disrupts circadian rhythms which regulate hormone release. Growth hormone, melatonin, and cortisol all follow a daily rhythm. When this rhythm is disturbed, hair follicles lose their natural growth pattern. Late night eating worsens this problem by keeping insulin elevated at night. High nighttime insulin interferes with growth hormone release. Without growth hormone, hair repair is impaired. Over time, these factors compound. High insulin, chronic stress, and poor sleep work together to weaken hair follicles. Shine disappears, texture changes, shedding increases. Most people treat the symptom instead of the cause. Here's the powerful part. When these factors are corrected, hair often improves faster than expected. Lowering insulin improves circulation. Managing stress reduces inflammation. Improving sleep restores hormone balance. Hair follicles respond quickly because they are designed to grow. People often notice less shedding within weeks. Then they notice stronger strands. Then shine gradually returns. This happens without changing hair products because the internal environment has changed. Hair is a signal. When insulin is high, stress is chronic, and sleep is poor. Hair suffers. When insulin is controlled, stress is managed, and sleep is prioritized. Hair becomes thick, strong, and shiny again. Your body already knows how to grow healthy hair. It just needs the right T signals. Reduce insulin spikes, calm the nervous system, and protect sleep, and hair growth becomes a natural outcome rather than a struggle. This is why focusing only on products misses the bigger picture. Hair responds to hormones, blood flow, and recovery. Fix those, and hair follows naturally. Thick, shiny hair is not a coincidence. It's a sign that your body is no longer under constant stress and metabolic strain. When the internal environment improves, hair becomes one of the clearest reflections of that change. When people think about thick, shiny hair, they usually focus on what they can see, the hair shaft, the scalp, the texture. But what truly determines hair thickness and shine is something you cannot see at all. It's the internal environment of your body. When inflammation is low, nutrients are abundant, circulation is strong, and the scalp is balanced from the inside, hair naturally becomes fuller, stronger, and more vibrant without relying on treatments. One of the biggest enemies of healthy hair is chronic inflammation. Inflammation doesn't always cause pain or obvious symptoms. It often works quietly in the background, damaging tissues over time. Hair follicles are especially sensitive to inflammation. Even low-grade inflammation can shorten the hair growth cycle and weaken the follicle's ability to produce thick strands. Inflammation can come from many sources. Processed foods, refined sugars, damaged fats, and frequent insulin spikes all increase inflammatory markers in the body. When inflammation is high, blood vessels become less efficient. This reduces the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the scalp. Hair follicles begin to struggle, and hair loses its density and shine. Another major contributor to inflammation is gut imbalance. The gut is not just a digestive organ, it's a key regulator of immune function. When the gut lining is damaged, inflammatory compounds leak into the bloodstream. This creates a constant immune response that affects the skin and scalp. Over time, the scalp becomes an unfavorable environment for hair growth. A healthy scalp is not just clean, it's calm, balanced, and well-nourished. When inflammation drops, oil production normalizes, itching decreases, and follicles function more efficiently. Hair strands become stronger and smoother, which allows them to reflect light more effectively. This is what creates natural shine. Healthy fats play a critical role here. The outer layer of the hair shaft is made of lipids. These lipids protect the hair and give it flexibility and shine. When the diet lacks healthy fats, this protective layer becomes thin and damaged. Hair becomes dry, rough, and dull no matter how much conditioner is used. Omega-3 fatty acids are especially important for reducing inflammation and supporting scalp health. They help regulate immune responses and improve blood flow. When omega-3 intake is adequate, the scalp environment improves, and hair follicles receive the support they need to produce thicker strands. Another important fat that often gets overlooked is cholesterol. Cholesterol is not the enemy it's often made out to be. It's a building block for hormones and cell membranes. Hair follicles depend on healthy cell membranes to function properly. Extremely low-fat diets can disrupt this process and negatively affect hair quality. Now let's talk about circulation, because hair follicles are only as healthy as the blood supply feeding them. Blood carries oxygen, amino acids, minerals, and vitamins to the follicle. If circulation is impaired, follicles are starved of these essentials. Poor circulation can result from insulin resistance, inflammation, nutrient deficiencies, or inactivity. When circulation improves, hair follicles often respond quickly. People may notice increased thickness, faster growth, and improved shine. Movement plays a role here. Physical activity improves blood flow throughout the body, including the scalp. It also reduces insulin resistance and inflammation. This creates a healthier internal environment for hair growth. Hydration is another overlooked factor. Blood is mostly water. When the body is dehydrated, blood becomes thicker and flows less efficiently. This reduces nutrient delivery to hair follicles. Dehydration also affects the hair shaft itself, making it less flexible and more prone to breakage. Minerals play a huge role in scalp and hair health. Zinc supports follicle repair and oil balance. Magnesium helps improve circulation and reduce stress. Selenium supports antioxidant defenses in the scalp. When these minerals are low, hair quality suffers. Protein quality matters as well. Hair doesn't just need protein quantity, it needs specific amino acids. These amino acids are used to build keratin and support collagen around the follicle. Without them, hair grows thinner and weaker. Collagen-supporting nutrients help improve hair thickness and elasticity. Elastic hair resists breakage and reflects light better, creating shine. When collagen support is low, hair becomes stiff and fragile. Another critical factor is the scalp microbiome. The scalp has its own ecosystem of beneficial microorganisms. When this balance is disrupted by inflammation, harsh chemicals, or internal imbalances, scalp health declines. A balanced microbiome supports follicle health and reduces irritation. Internal balance influences the scalp microbiome more than external products. When blood sugar is stable, inflammation is low, and nutrients are adequate, the scalp microbiome tends to normalize on its own. Hormone balance also plays a role in scalp health. Hormones influence oil production, circulation, and follicle activity. When hormones are balanced, the scalp maintains a healthy environment for hair growth. The liver plays a central role here. The liver processes hormones, fats, and toxins. When liver function is compromised, hormone balance suffers and inflammation increases. Hair follicles feel this immediately. Supporting liver health supports hair health. When the liver efficiently processes hormones and toxins, the internal environment becomes cleaner and more balanced. Hair follicles respond by producing stronger hair. Oxidative stress is another invisible factor. Free radicals damage hair proteins and follicle cells. Antioxidants help neutralize this damage. When antioxidant support is low, hair loses its shine and becomes more fragile. Natural antioxidants from whole foods support both scalp and hair health. They protect follicles from damage and support long-term hair quality. Another overlooked issue is excessive scalp tension. Chronic tension in the neck and scalp can restrict blood flow. Relaxation and proper posture improve circulation to the scalp, indirectly supporting hair growth. Let's also talk about aging, because aging itself is not the main cause of hair thinning. Aging combined with inflammation, insulin resistance, and nutrient depletion is what causes hair changes. When these factors are controlled, hair can remain thick and shiny well into later years. Hair follicles have the ability to recover. They are not permanently damaged in most cases. They respond to improved conditions. This is why internal changes often lead to visible improvements in hair within months. The key message here is simple. Hair health is not isolated. It is connected to the entire body. When inflammation is reduced, nutrients are restored, circulation improves, and the scalp environment is balanced from the inside, hair naturally transforms. You don't need extreme treatments. You don't need constant products. You need to support the systems that hair depends on. The gut, the liver, the bloodstream, and the nervous system all influence hair quality. When these systems work together, hair becomes thicker, stronger, and shinier as a natural reflection of internal balance. Hair is not something you force. It's something that appears when the body is supported correctly. If you focus on lowering inflammation, improving nutrient density, supporting healthy fats, and maintaining good circulation, hair health follows. The shine you see is not artificial. It's a sign that the internal environment has shifted in the right direction. This is why true hair transformation always starts inside the body. When the inside is right, the outside reflects it naturally.